It is the series that everybody is buzzing about. A&E's Lie Detector: Truth or Deception, premiering this week. George Olivio, former FBI agent and veteran polygrapher, here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
We're starting with a 2 hour premiere. Shannon Price, the death of Gary Coleman, 15 years later, still not a lot of answers that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. The polygraph did not, as you know, didn't work out in her favor. So there are still answers, questions that need answers.
That was the big news, yesterday, that she was going to be on the series, but also, things didn't go in her favor. Talk a little bit about I mean, because you guys see it a little bit in the clips, but like her mood when she walked in, kind of what your energy, kind of your initial thoughts, kind of when you first saw her.
Right. Well, my initial thoughts were that she was, quite frankly, she was complaining quite a bit about trivial things. She complained, and you don't see it as much. Maybe there's some of that had to be edited out, but I mean, you name it, Rudy. She complained about the chair being too hard. She complained about the light. She complained that it was too hot, so we cooled things down. And then 5 minutes later, she said it was too cold. And she said the room should be bigger, should be smaller. And so I thought to myself after just a few minutes, here's a person who's been given a golden opportunity to clear her name, and she's complaining over and over again about the most trivial things. So I just can't help but think when someone does that, I've seen it before, they're maybe trying to sabotage an otherwise legitimate process.
For those who were alive in the '80s, I mean, Gary Coleman was a television icon. His catchphrase is still fed today. I mean, people know exactly who what he means to families and to kids growing up at that time. But kind of the mystery, especially going back 15 years, of something doesn't quite add up, and trying to find the right questions to ask, to see if we can get some kind of clarity.
Right. So it's what we call isolating the issues. So we've got relevant issues and secondary issues on any case that we're going to try to polygraph, and isolating the issues is the important thing. So in some cases, isolating the issue is very easy. If it's a bank robbery, then the issue is, did you rob the bank? And in this case, we want to know if she had anything to do with his fatal fall.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other episodes that we're going to see, as well too. Obviously, this is the one that's kicking off the season, but let's talk about some of the other ones that we're going to see.
Sure. So there's Matthew Moore. He was charged with murdering his wife and trying to staging making it look like a suicide. He was acquitted in 2022. There's a lot of questions still there. Edward Yates, he spent 20 years in prison for the murder of his next door neighbor, a crime which he never admitted to, and still to this day denies that he was ever involved with. And then there's Jesse Holton, a young man who's currently in the U.S. military, suspected by police but never charged for killing both of his parents when he was 16 years old. So those are just a few of the cases that are going to be showcased.
And if I'm correct, one of these polygraph machines costs about $10,000. So it's not something that the average person is going to buy or confront somebody. But maybe a couple of tips to know if someone's telling the truth. Maybe you have a situation with a partner or a relative, a friend. Maybe how do you kind of start off those questions to try to maybe get the truth, or maybe signs that maybe they're not being completely honest?
Well, that's a good question. So that goes into a whole different area other than polygraph. People ask me sometimes on the polygraph situation, what was their body language like? And that's not really something that we're going to focus a lot on during the polygraph. We're trusting the charts, the physiology. But what you're asking is, what are some verbal and nonverbal indicators of deception when you don't have a polygraph instrument handy? And there are quite a few. The thing is about detecting deception, it's not easy. Anyone who tells you it's easy is not being straight with you. Probably the biggest tell on deception is when somebody is over explaining things, when they are selling the story versus just telling the story. It's really boils down to convince versus convey. If someone's trying to convince you of a story, adding a lot more details than they need to, that aren't important, it's probably an indication that they're trying to justify something, that they're trying to get you to believe something that maybe isn't true. I always say that the shortest distance between two facts is the truth. So it doesn't take a lot of explanation to say, where were you last night?
That is a great thing. Selling versus telling, conveying versus convincing. I think that that's something that is going to be a great takeaway for so many people.
There's another thing too that you see. There's a lot of indicators, but if you want to look at a verbal, at a visual indicator, there's a thing called duping delight. It's a psychological term, and you've seen it when somebody lies and they smile. So denial with a smile is also a good indicator of deception. When they say, "Did you do that?" and they say no, and they're smiling, there's a psychological explanation to that, where the person thinks, hey, I'm smarter than you, I'm getting away with this, I'm the only one that has the truth, I've got the upper hand. And there's just some delight in that. They call it duping delight, and it's a smile with a denial. And sometimes it's just like a little micro smile, and sometimes it's just a big, complete, they don't even try to hide it, they're just very pleased with themselves that they're the smartest person in the room.
Well, we got to keep on watching. Thank you so much, George, for your time today. A&E's Lie Detector: Truth or Deception premieres July 10th with a 2-hour premiere featuring Shannon Price, obviously, and the story of Gary Coleman. And then follow those episodes every week after that. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.